Hello and welcome to Kayak, where everything's controlled by evil cats. My name's Beast. I'm a servant of the evil feline horde and your host, so let's get started. On today's literary adventure, we go back to the Bone Chiller series with Book 12, Night of the Living Clay, series created by Betsy Haynes, but this book is written by David Brigantio. The review copy I have is a first edition printed in 1996. The book has 100 pages and 21 chapters. So what horrors await us in this Bone Chiller's book? Let's just hope it's better than the last one. The cover shows a massive clay-like monster with a large, gaping open mouth. A girl is being held in its blue hands like it's about to stuff her into its mouth. There's flavor text on the cover that says, "A midnight snack?" So, based on the title of the book, Night of the Living Clay, and the cover illustration, it looks like we might be dealing with a zombie clay monster of some kind. But let's check the back cover to see what else we can figure out. Don't go in the basement. Something is going on in Tasha Karen's basement. Something noisy and smelly and creepy. But then Tasha goes to check it out. There's nothing there. Not even the clay statues that her brother Corey made. Suddenly she hears a growling sound coming from the shadows, and then a set of sharp, pointy teeth snap at Tasha's ankle. Now Tasha knows the truth about the creatures in the basement. They're cold and clammy and biting mad. Bone chillers. They're a real scream. So from the back cover, it seems that we may be dealing with a monster in the basement type story. But again, this turns out to be a good example of the person writing the back cover blurb having never read the actual book. This story is actually about demonic clay creatures that grow in size every time they eat clay and how they terrorize a brother-sister duo while their parents are away for the day. The story starts with our main character, Tasha, a 12-year-old girl, being grumpy because she's stuck at home watching after her quote-unquote sick brother, instead of being able to go out with her parents to check out the local flea markets. She's down in her basement art studio. Yes, I said that right. She has a basement art studio, and she's busily sculpting a very sad clown out of clay. Her creative muse runs out, and she heads upstairs to find her brother wanting her to make him some food. Grumpily, she goes to make some food, but that's when Tasha and her younger brother Corey hear a strange thumping sound. It's almost like somebody egged their house. But they look outside and discover a strange-looking van has dropped off a package at their door. At this point, I was starting to get some Creepshow 2 vibes from this book, so I already knew that something bad was about to go down. The van drives away, and Corey runs out, super excited, exclaiming it has finally arrived. Tasha is confused, so he explains to her that he found an ad in one of the old comic books their dad collects that advertised a cool new product called Creepy Clay, and he was sure that this is what was just delivered. Tasha has her doubts because the comics are so old, no one possibly could have delivered anything from them, but Corey grabs the box and brings it in and opens it up. Tasha takes one of the lumps of clay and instantly regrets it, because it feels like a block of raw spoiled hamburger meat with maggots crawling around inside. Now that's what I call visceral imagery. She quickly gives the lump of clay back to her brother, and he says he's going to his room so he can make clay figures just like she does. Tasha returns to her basement and starts working away with another lump of clay, while a short while later, she is interrupted by the sound of her younger brother at the top of the basement stairs calling to her. She finally goes to see what he wants, and he introduces her to the clay creatures he has created, which he calls the Creeps. There's a pterodactyl, then she sees Otto the octopus, and a scorpion, a snake which is more of a tube of clay with a mouth, and a vicious-looking alien. Corey is really proud of his creations, so Tasha humors him by letting him place them on her drawing table down in her art studio. Her brother then goes off to watch some TV, leaving her alone in the basement. Tasha goes back to working with her clay, but soon starts hearing sounds like there's a rat running around the corners of the room. Disgusted, she goes upstairs but is stopped by her brother. She tells him that there's possibly a rat problem in the basement, and he thinks it's cool, so her brother goes down into the basement to check out to make sure his clay creatures are okay. A few moments later, he screams claiming he was bit by something. Tasha runs down the steps, and in the dark she thinks she sees what bit her brother, but it moves too fast, and she hurriedly gets her brother upstairs. Once upstairs, she examines the bite marks on her brother. She noticed that the area is red and swollen, but there isn't any blood. Instead, there's a strange smear of clay around the area. Tasha's a little freaked out and decides to try and distract her brother with the idea of drinking pop and playing video games together in the living room. Although her brother's mood improves, hers doesn't. A little later, she discovers that the closed basement door has opened by itself, and one of the first clay figurines she created, a ballerina, has been destroyed. But strangely enough, large pieces of it are missing. At first she blames her brother, but something far more sinister is afoot. Corey finds a green glob-like stain on the floor that reminds Tasha of melted frog skin. How she knows what melted frog skin is, I probably don't want to know. Something from the basement, definitely not a rat, apparently is now loose in the house. Tasha decides that they both need to go visit the old lady that lives next door, so the two of them head to the kitchen door. Unfortunately, a large dark object comes flying down the stairs towards them, flapping its wings, almost getting tangled in Tasha's hair. Somehow, Tasha manages to pull the creature off of her, and her and her brother run into the kitchen, slamming the door just as the creature thumps into it. Corey recognizes the creature immediately. It's one of his creeps, the pterodactyl that he had made out of the creepy clay. But Tasha tells him that it's not that, it's just a bat that got loose in the house. But she has her doubts. Corey is excited that somehow his clay creatures have come to life, but then they discover the creepy alien that Corey made is now sitting on the kitchen counter, staring at them. The alien's eyes are filled with an evil intent, and that's when Corey realizes that the alien has more details on it than what he sculpted into it. Like, instead of the dull teeth that he had originally made, it now sports a sharp set of fangs. The alien creature jumps forward, sinking its teeth into Corey's flesh, and the brother and sister discover that the creature is no longer made completely out of clay. The two siblings try to fight the clay monster, but it escapes. But before it does, it breaks the door handle off the back door, making so that the two children can escape the house through that door. They try to make their way to the front door, but the pterodactyl once again attacks them, and it forces them upstairs. Holed up in Corey's room, Tasha gets an idea to try and use the creepy clay to make another creature, but this time thinking happy thoughts, because she thinks that maybe that when the siblings argued this morning, Corey created the monsters, that they absorbed the negative energy when he created them. Tasha quickly makes a happy ballerina, but the ballerina quickly turns evil. The two end up mashing it into the carpet, and the pterodactyl swoops in and eats the fresh clay and begins to grow. They escape the room and run back to the basement, where they meet the octopus and the scorpion. Tasha uses fresh blocks of clay to try and fend off the scorpion and the octopus, while Corey runs up the stairs and then jumps off, stomping the scorpion into goo. Tasha then gets the idea to use the utility hose in the basement and sprays the monsters with water, turning them into a loose puddle of clay. The two siblings go back upstairs when they run into the alien creature and the pterodactyl from earlier. They spray both creatures and they fall down into the puddle of clay at the bottom of the stairs. Tasha keeps spraying until only a half-melted alien creature remains. It pushes past them and rushes out into the house. Unfortunately, they can't use the utility hose inside the main part of the house, so they decide to go get the mop buckets and fill them with water. Just then, one of Tasha's friends shows up, and she ends up getting attacked by a half-melted clay alien creature. But Tasha and her brother dump buckets of water on it until it dissolves into nothing. Tasha's friend is quite understandably in a state of shock, but she does help the two siblings clean up the house before the parents get back. When the parents get back, the father is super excited to show the kids something cool he found at the flea market, and pulls out a big box of super creepy clay. And he tells them that he was so excited on the ride home, he ended up sculpting a few things he wants to show them. And thus ends Night of the Living Clay. Overall, this book is actually fairly decent. The story is written far better than that of Slime Time. Whether or not that's due to the new writer, I'm not exactly sure. The characters aren't completely dislikable, and they're not really bland either. Yeah, they play the bratty younger brother routine, but that's a trend that you usually get in these kinds of stories. I give Night of the Living Clay 3 out of 5 paws. Thanks for viewing, and if you like what I do here, or just want to help the evil feline horde and their bid for world domination, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.